Hey everyone, I'm Mike Henry, and this is my Procreate 4.1 demo for the piece I call, or pieces, Sketchbomb Double Feature. Here's the first one I'm going to go over. It's a zombie punk, and then here's the second one I'm going to go over, which is a shaman bomber. So let's get into the zombie punk one first. Now while this is sketching, I recently went to the Sketchbomb that's here in Barcelona, which was awesome to go to. Coming like all the way around the world, and there's Sketchbomb was just really awesome. So my thanks to Shiraj Talang, who you can Google and you'll find like all of his work. He's the one who like started it and runs it and all that, and he's a great dude. So let's start talking about the actual piece here, which this is done on a photo of a texture of or a photo of craft paper, which is what I used to always draw on at Sketchbombs, so that's why I wanted to do this when I was there. Since I still don't have all of my stuff and I didn't have any natural material, solid, real media, I used my iPad and just tried to make it look as natural as possible. So what did I use in order to do this? Just all the usual shit. If you've ever seen me do like a craft paper type piece digitally before, it's all of that. The rough lines were done with the fat pencil with like a red, which is to mimic the Colorase Carmine red, or sometimes I use rose or whatever. But anyways, the point is, it's to mimic that red pencil. And then I have a super dark blue to do the ballpoint because, black ballpoint pen has like a little bit of a blue sheen to it, and so I wanted to try and mimic that, even though I knew that that would be pretty subtle. So rough sketch, fat pencil set to red, final lines, fat pencil set to a really dark blue, and the idea was to not use undo that much. I still couldn't help but use certain other tools that you use digitally, like layers and stuff. That was just, some of it was actually accidental. I was just doing it because I was on my iPad, and then I tried to keep it as true to Sketchbomb as possible, and not use like undos and like leave mistakes in to some degree. I couldn't help myself though at some times, so it was a valiant effort, let's put it that way. Of the three themes of the night, one of them was zombie punk, and I thought that would be a good one to warm up on because I could just do like a headshot of a zombie, and that felt like that'd be good. Still in the middle of doing all of the settling in here in Barcelona, so I just wanted to kind of take it easy. So I thought I'd start with something that I knew I'd just be able to, I just kind of knew I already had one in my repertoire, so to speak. So this is, at this point, this is just me filling it all in. Now, I'm starting to think about what I'm going to do for the hair, and you saw that I did like that test section as like the beginning. I'm like, cool, I'm going to do that for the whole thing. That's one of those things where I started using some digital tricks. I didn't have to if this were real medium, or if I just took my time more, I didn't have to, but I was trying to go as quickly as I could to try and get to as many themes as I could that night. So I eventually just start scratching in all that hair strand by strand by strand, and then I erase away. I also didn't want to use any type of circle tool when I did the eye, so that's why the eye is kind of oblong. I was like, yeah, I'll just keep it not perfect and that'll be fine. But then I thought to myself, like, I always used to take circle templates to Sketchbomb because I hate drawing circles. I love circles in design and hate drawing them, so I used to take like ellipses tools with me. And so I thought eventually you'll see me go back and change that eye, because I'm just like, you know what, screw it, I'm going to use the circle tool or the circle brush just like I would if this were a if I had a circle template or an ellipses template. As for the design of this guy, there really wasn't a lot of thought put into it. I just wanted to go with like a big, strong, skeletal head shape, put some tears in, put some cutouts in the ear, missing teeth, mohawk because it was a punk. I thought the tongue piercing would be kind of fun, and so that was it. And of course he's got the big spiky like dog collar, but there wasn't a whole lot of thought into like what's gonna make this one unique. It was more just about let's just draw a zombie punk and not think about it too much. So there's me going in and fixing that eye and making it more perfectly circular. And then the dog collar. Now what I'll get to in a second is I darken his entire silhouette. That was done with, God, I don't even know. maybe the square brush or like the Nico roll brush or whatever. I just wanted something that kind of looked markery, but I didn't want it to be like hard to use, so I didn't use anything that would create like tons of darkening from reapplying it multiple times. Just because I wanted his silhouette darkened, like I used like a really light gray marker. Then we get to this white outline. I used to use paint pens all the time when I would go to Sketchbomb, so I used the Oriental brush and set it to just a slightly off white. It might look perfect white here, but it's technically slightly off. And then I went through it and I just sort of did the outlining like I would if it were an actual piece. That little flip you just saw was me adding a slight drop shadow to it just so that it felt a little more three-dimensional. When we get to the zoom in later, you'll be able to see that there. So I also use the white paint pen for some of the shines, and that's it for this one. This is the final version of it. And let's move on to the next guy. So the next theme was Shaman Bomber. Now there wasn't a whole lot of time, so you notice that the style of this one is the lines are just like a one go, like I didn't go over them or build them up or anything like that. So I just went, again, really literal with this. There wasn't a whole lot of thought into how can I make Shaman Bomber more creative. The only thing I really focused on was I wanted him to have a big basket of bombs, and then I wanted him to have face paint. And then when I was in the middle of it and I did that little hair thing, you can see I zoomed it down or brought it down a little bit because I was like, oh, I could totally make his hair sort of look like a wick or a flame or whatever, which is what that is right there. So then after that super rough, I just went at it. I did this actually really quickly and just went line, like knocking out each line individually, and I used the fat pencil on everything here, and then set the size larger than I normally work with it so that the taper was more evident as I was going through. And so I was just being really cognizant of when I did, like for instance his cheekbone, pulling that line down hard and then lightening up towards the end. So it's just a way that I do know how to work, but I don't do it very often. And whenever I need speed, I usually shift to a style more like this because there's just way less work that goes into it, and it's more about finessing each individual line. So now we get those bombs in there. We get the bomb in his hand, and now we gotta figure out his other hand. But first we're gonna do the skulls around his waist, actually. The shrunken skulls. Okay, finish up the other foot, and now we just bang out the hand real quick. All done very quickly. I duplicated his other hand over so I could get the exact size of the bomb and not redraw the bomb, tweak some things and call it good. And then at the very end, I just throw some grayscale on like the face paint and stuff, and then put a dot pattern over the entire thing just to give it a little bit of texture right at the very end, right there. Lowered the opacity on it. And that's the final piece, all cropped and everything. So here's a little tighter shot, and then here's the zombie. So I really hope you like this. This was a really quick one, a couple of little fun pieces. And you can see there the little drop shadow on the white paint pen. So thanks for watching. If you enjoyed these, please consider liking and subscribing. And I'll see you on the next one. If you're looking for me on the internet, these are the places where you can find me.